When Midwestern dinks, double income, no kids, have money in the bank and a bun in the oven, Macomb County, Michigan is the perfect slice of upper crust living. But when the winds of temptation start howling...
Well, I heard they might have been sleeping together.
...and a favorite mom goes missing...
I wouldn't need space after 10 years of marriage.
It takes just 1 Michigan minute for the picture of perfection to shatter. Yvonne Fraley didn't believe her mother when she said the older you get, the faster time flies.
Sometimes high school seems like it was just yesterday. It was actually 18 years ago. Those were the glory days in high school.
And back in the day, you'd never find Yvonne without her BFF, Tara Lynn Grant.
Tara and I were on the cheerleading squad together. We, of course, did slumber parties and birthday parties. Tara was one of the best friends you could ever have.
So when Yvonne hears that Tara has up and disappeared, her stomach sinks like it used to before the big game.
Just knowing Tara, just always reliable, and knowing that she had 2 children, I just don't believe her to be the person that would just up and leave.
Across town, Tara's hysterical husband, Stephen Grant, storms into the Macomb County Sheriff's Department. Deputy Bill Hughes does his best to calm him.
Stephen Grant told me that his wife, Tara, was missing.
A powerful executive during the week, Tara splits her time between Michigan and Puerto Rico.
Stephen told me that it wasn't unusual for Tara to work a lot.
Tara always headed home for the weekends, but this week's furlough was cut short.
She was scheduled to spend the weekend with the family, but because of business obligations, she had to leave early.
Stephen, who cherished family time, didn't want Tara to leave.
Stephen said they argued and she got into a black sedan.
Stephen assumed his wife was headed to the airport and back to Puerto Rico. But 5 days have passed, and Tara hasn't called Stephen or the kids once.
What was unusual was that Tara didn't call home when she traveled back to Puerto Rico after the argument.
Tara Grant, loving wife and devoted mother of 2, is now a Macomb County missing person. Those who believe a woman's place is in the kitchen obviously don't know Tara Grant.
Tara didn't love going to Puerto Rico, but it's her job. She's the breadwinner.
Yeah, well, I know it's been a bone of contention between them, but they've had that family vacation planned to Arizona. Would have been a good break for her, good family time together with the kids and everything.
Well, she would never take off and leave those kids without contacting them, even if she did need some space.
Yeah, I wouldn't need space after 10 years of marriage.
Detective Tony Wickersham is as familiar with missing persons reports as he is the ring on his left hand.
The situation would arise where they just left for the night, or, they needed to get away from their spouse, cooling off period, and then they come back.
But like a ring that needs to be sized, this case just doesn't fit.
We checked all the outgoing flights, and we could find no record that Tara Grant got on a plane and headed back to Puerto Rico.
So if Tara's not in Puerto Rico, where is she? When Macomb County Sheriff Mark Hackle needs to find answers, he takes to the trails.
Anytime you have a case like this, where there's a missing wife and she's gone and there's a little suspicion about the fact that she's gone and why she's gone, people will look at the husband.
Naturally, investigators want to question Stephen Grant more thoroughly, paying a visit to the family's home.
When we got to the house and started conversing with him, talking to him, he was very upfront, about their family relationship, what had happened, what he thought about her leaving.
Stephen, it seems, is more saint than suspect.
He was extremely helpful. There was no question about it.
And after searching the Grants' home, investigators have no answers either.
There was nothing in the house that gave us any indication or clues that would help in the investigation in trying to locate Tara.
Macomb County moms and dads are not at all amused by the news of Tara's disappearance.
To completely leave your children, abandon them, that's unfathomable for me. Your first inclination is that something bad happened to her, because why she couldn't leave her kids.
It's very scary to think something awful and horrible probably happened to her.
Rumors skulk their way into every Macomb County house. Allison Ortwine has never played a game of telephone quite like this one.
Hey, so I was saying, it hasn't been confirmed, but I heard that somebody told the police that she might have been having
A what? Might have been having Allison?
Lauren,
Allison.
can you hear me?
I hate this phone.
You get what you pay for. And everyone in Macomb County would have paid top dollar for this next tip.
Through the investigation, there was numerous tips that came in via the email, telephone tips that were brought in. This allegation was made about some type of a relationship with Tara's boss.
Is it possible the company's El Presidente is behind the Puerto Rican prevarication?
Maybe she was having an affair. There was a pinch of hope that maybe that was what was going on, so that it wasn't, you know, the worst case scenario.
If Tara's boss is behind her disappearance, lest he never forget, if you choose to dip your pen in the company ink, don't be surprised when you become a marked man.
Hot dogs, get them while they're hot!
All work and no play may please the Puritan, but it sure makes for a lackluster life. Perhaps Tara Grant's boss is trying to promote a new policy, a more fun mandate, with Tara as his Playmate of the Year.
Ice cold pop, potato chips.
Lunchtime talk in Macomb County is heating up.
Can you believe that about Tara's boss?
What are you talking about?
They want to talk to him about her disappearance.
Get out of here.
They're thinking there's a little something going on, if you know what I'm saying.
When investigators come calling, Tara's boss is behind his desk, not tripping the light fantastic with Tara.
He had a lot of respect for her and her work and what she had done. She was just a great co-worker.
But does he love her or love her not?
Talking to her employer, that there was no affair whatsoever that she had with him.
Looks like there's nothing fishy going on in the boardroom after all. So if Tara's boss hasn't swept her away, who has? Mother's intuition tells Simone Berard something horrible has happened to her dear friend Tara.
Tara never would leave her family, never.
Tara's devotion to her family makes her disappearance even more ominous. In search of an explanation, Macomb County folks are moved to action, knowing if you want a miracle, you've got to make one happen.
Stephen went to the news and he was crying and asking for help.
But as hours stretch into days, investigators know their chances of finding Tara alive grow ever smaller.
We say to ourselves, you know, we don't have any legitimate sightings of Tara. We have to start turning our focus that something may have happened to her.
With no time to waste, Sheriff Hackle readies his troops for a search party.
All right, guys, Stony Creek Park, large area, but I think that's where I want to focus most of our attention as far as the search.
Okay, the Grant house is here, and this is the last place Tara was seen. I think we move to the northern part of Stony Creek and work our way south.
Within the hour, an entire community is searching for anything that might lead them to Tara.
People ask me, because they knew that we are good friends, they ask me, how can we help, what can we do?
The community was very determined to help with this search. They knew that Tara was out there somewhere.
But with no signs of Tara anywhere, determination turns to defeat.
As time went on, the hopefulness it starts dwindling away.
People don't simply vanish. Tara must be out there somewhere.
It was getting scarier and scarier.
The giddy European girls who care for Macomb County's kids are going absolutely buggy. After all, their neighborhood chatter is stalled without the Grant's nanny, Verena.
I heard nobody has talked to Verena since all this happened.
I heard she really liked working for the Grants.
She really liked working for Mr. Grant. That's what I've heard.
Don't say things like that, especially if we don't know if they're true.
If I did know something, I would go to the police.
Maybe somebody promised not to.
Well, you know what they say. 3 can keep a secret, if 2 of them are dead. But with a woman already missing, someone starts spilling about Verena.
I think she was in her early 20s. She was from Germany. She had been with the family for a little bit of time.
But what is it exactly this German darling is being paid to do?
The information that we received was from one of the other nannies that possibly Stephen was involved with Verena.
An affair with a nanny? How terribly original. And it seems that just days after Tara went missing, young Verena was sent packing.
The au pair company felt it'd be best that Verena be removed from the house.
Investigators are shocked to learn the little lovely is no longer in Michigan.
She was sent back to Germany, which is a concern for us.
Could it be that the au pair company unintentionally aided in the escape of a wanted woman?
It was difficult for an investigation because now we had no contact with her.
This German nanny better get ready to sprechen Sie English. She has some big time explaining to do.
What did she know about Tara's disappearance? When was the last time she saw her?
Investigators wonder if their German Fräulein turned possible fugitive is about to become suspect number one. America, the land where dreams really can come true. And if a certain German nanny dreamed of becoming an American wife and hot little stepmom, only one woman stood in her way.
I wasn't sure what to think about Verena and how much could she involved in the whole situation or not.
With Tara Grant still missing, the neighborhood nannies are aflutter.
Billy, come down from there. That's dangerous.
Could their friend Verena be mixed up in a relationship with the wrong man and a murder?
American dads are cute. Like Mr. Grant, he's cute.
All American dads are cute. It's normal to think that, but thinking of hurting an American mom, that's just not right.
Verena always seemed so normal. I think if she wants to hurt Mrs. Grant, she's like, how do you say it in English? Verrückt?
Crazy. She'll be crazy.
So sweet, so innocent, so perceptive, perhaps. Investigators wonder if the nannies may be onto something.
When Verena went back to Germany, it limited our access to her.
But it doesn't take long for investigators to track down her phone number.
When the investigators questioned Verena about the disappearance, she couldn't provide us any information.
Easy for you to say, Verena. There's an entire ocean between you and Michigan investigators.
And when asked about the possibility of having an affair with Stephen, she adamantly denied it.
Honestly, Verena, isn't it time to stop your girlish games? American men like their women forthcoming, don't you know?
If facts come out otherwise, that you knew you either had involvement, or you lied to us, it's not going to look good.
Finally, the frightened Fräulein fesses up.
She started to break down and give us, a kind of a confession, I guess, if you will, on her own, that she did, in fact, have an affair with Stephen. And the way she talked about it was as if she was, like, in love with him, and she really did care for him.
First comes love, then comes marriage. But is there a murder plot somewhere in between?
We're trying to look at every angle here, but just by talking to her, we had no indication that she was involved in this whatsoever.
So, what's Stephen's side of the sordid story?
We had asked him, and Mr. Grant denied any type of, relationship with her at all.
This sexy little story is looking rather suspicious. But investigators are about to face a far more shocking development, thanks to a local hiker.
She was walking down the trail. She found a plastic bag. She pulled it out, and contents of it were gloves, some red substance. So she took it back home, and she contacted the sheriff's office.
The mysterious bag, found just a few miles from Tara Grant's home, is whisked away to forensics, with Detective Wickersham not far behind. He turns to investigator Pam McLean for answers.
Blood came back as human blood.
Well, with that being human blood, there's a really good chance that's Tara's.
Everything that's going on here, that's a pretty good chance.
But it's an unexpected clue that gives investigators their biggest break yet.
We have the latex gloves. We also have dog hair. It's very consistent with the dog that was found at the Grant home.
While the blood in the bag is immediately sent off for DNA testing, the dog hair is enough to send investigators racing to secure a search warrant for the Grant home.
The investigators really went to work to get us into the Grant home, to obtain evidence and try and locate Tara.
Yvonne Fraley anxiously awaits the next bit of news from investigators.
The day they went into the Grant's home with the search warrant, I felt a little excitement that we were going to finally find where Tara was, hoping that she was still alive.
Investigators fly to the Grant's home, knowing every moment is vital. Ever the perfect host, Stephen lets them in, then leaves them to do their work.
Stephen had left the house with the dog, and he went down the street to a neighbor's home.
Before long, the Grant Street has turned into Looky-Loo Lane.
Why do you think the cops were over there again?
Obviously, they thought they were going to find something.
Well, you don't think they suspect Stephen, do you?
I don't know. I gotta go. Bye.
If you don't want to know the answer, you should never ask the question.
Ouch.
Down the street, investigators are closing in on answers.
While they were conducting a search of the interior of the home, several investigators were outside in the family garage.
And in the garage, one investigator makes a gruesome discovery.
He opens up the Tupperware container, and it has a couple plastic bags inside there. And the bags were opened up, and we found the clue. We found Tara.
Macomb County goes cold.
The blood just rushed out of my body. It's just not something you ever want to hear somebody say about a classmate of yours, somebody that you knew from your hometown. Again, still hoping maybe it wasn't her.
But investigators are certain it is. They can't get to Stephen Grant fast enough.
After Stephen had left the house with the dog, he went down the street to a neighbor's home and borrowed his truck.
Seems as though Stephen had the sudden urge for a little road trip.
Stephen wasn't coming back. Stephen was a man on the run.
A man on the run is a scared man indeed. Investigators just hope they're able to track Stephen's trail before it goes cold. Tranquil is the town where a potential killer doesn't roam free. But with Stephen Grant on the run, Macomb County is no such town.
If he could do this to somebody who gave him his children, he's capable of anything.
Children frolic under the watchful eyes of nervous nannies. Their neighborhood park, now a devil's playground.
I always knew Mr. Grant had the devil in him.
There was something in his eyes, right?
Yes, you can always tell if you look in someone's eyes.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long to track Stephen's borrowed ride into the wide open spaces of Michigan's Wilderness Park.
The investigators found the vehicle abandoned and saw footprints going into the woods. And Stephen was on the run from there.
Investigators storm the wooded area, hot on the heels of a suspected killer. But day turns to night, and the cat and mouse game continues.
We had all the resources in the world to catch him, and we weren't going to let him escape.
Finally, in the wee hours of the following morning, investigators pounce on their prey.
He was out of gas. I think he was beat. We got him.
From beast to wounded animal, Stephen Grant surrenders silently, but his silence is surprisingly short-lived.
He decided he wanted to confess what had happened.
So, Stephen, whatever in the world drove you mad enough to kill your loving wife?
There was some kind of an argument they had about her travels.
At some point, Stephen indicated that Tara told him, you know, that she might leave him and he'll never see the kids. This outraged him.
Then he decided that he was going to choke her and choked her to death.
In a post-murder panic, Stephen comes up with a plan to do away with his wife's body.
What Stephen did was he eventually took the body over to his father's machine shop.
Then Stephen tries his best to hide his wife's body.
Stephen tells us that after he dismembered her body, he takes it to Stony Creek Nature Park and he disperses it throughout the area.
But weeks later, fearing someone might discover his handiwork, Stephen goes back to the woods and brings the body home.
Why he brought it back, we don't know. We found him less than a man, and he was a coward.
A coward indeed, and one with a romantic streak at that.
Apparently, Stephen had contacted Verena while he was on the run and professed his love to her.
Stephen, you really are a beast. Poor Verena. Just another one of your victims. The citizens of Macomb County are horrified to learn of Stephen's confession.
The man's supposed to make the money and the woman's supposed to stay at home and take care of the kids. Some men do have fragile egos.
You wonder what type of true love he would have for his children if he were capable of killing their mother.
It looks like this man-turned-murderer will have plenty of time to learn the errors of his ways.
The jury came back and found him guilty of second-degree murder. They felt that this was a heat of passion and anger type crime where he just snapped.
One life taken, so many more destroyed. Yet through it all, a little miracle is stirring in Macomb County.
I got pregnant about the same time Tara was missing, and I told the doctor I know right away the name.
Simone Berrar always wanted a baby girl. Now she knows why.
The person we really loved will be with us through Tara, our little one.
The mommies and daddies and nannies, too, are picking up the pieces of this devastated town. Tara would have wanted Macomb County to return to the perfect slice of American living.
Smells good. I think this could be our best one ever.
But without Tara Grant, perfection in this town will never again taste nearly as sweet. When Midwestern dinks, double income, no kids, have money in the bank and a bun in the oven, Macomb County, Michigan is the perfect slice of upper crust living. But when the winds of temptation start howling,
Well, I heard they might have been sleeping together.
and a favorite mom goes missing,
Wouldn't need space after 10 years of marriage.
it takes just 1 Michigan minute for the picture of perfection to shatter. Yvonne Fraley didn't believe her mother when she said the older you get, the faster time flies.
Sometimes high school seems like it was just yesterday. It was actually 18 years ago. Those were the glory days in high school.
And back in the day, you'd never find Yvonne without her BFF, Tara Lynn Grant.
Tara and I were on the cheerleading squad together. We, of course, did slumber parties and birthday parties. Tara was one of the best friends you could ever have.
So when Yvonne hears that Tara has up and disappeared, her stomach sinks like it used to before the big game.
Just knowing Tara, just always reliable, and knowing that she had 2 children, I just don't believe her to be the person that would just up and leave.
Across town, Tara's hysterical husband, Stephen Grant, storms into the Macomb County Sheriff's Department. Deputy Bill Hughes does his best to calm him.
Stephen Grant told me that his wife, Tara, was missing.
A powerful executive during the week, Tara splits her time between Michigan and Puerto Rico.
Stephen told me that it wasn't unusual for Tara to work a lot.
Tara always headed home for the weekends, but this week's furlough was cut short.
She was scheduled to spend the weekend with the family, but because of business obligations, she had to leave early.
Stephen, who cherished family time, didn't want Tara to leave.
Stephen said they argued and she got into a black sedan.
Stephen assumed his wife was headed to the airport and back to Puerto Rico. But 5 days have passed, and Tara hasn't called Stephen or the kids once.
What was unusual is that Tara didn't call home when she traveled back to Puerto Rico after the argument.
Tara Grant, loving wife and devoted mother of 2, is now a Macomb County missing person. Those who believe a woman's place is in the kitchen obviously don't know Tara Grant.
Tara didn't love going to Puerto Rico, but it's her job. She's the breadwinner.
Yeah, well, I know it's been a bone of contention between them, but they've had that family vacation planned to Arizona. Would have been a good break for her, good family time together with the kids and everything.
Well, she would never take off and leave those kids without contacting them, even if she did need some space.
Yeah, wouldn't need space after 10 years of marriage.
Detective Tony Wickersham is as familiar with missing persons reports